Welcome to the HU Movemakers podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in Howard culture. Welcome to the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks in Howard culture that are blazing the trail and making moves. Today, we have a very special guest in the building. Very special guest. Campus pal, Delta Sigma Theta, Sorority Incorporated, Alpha Chapter, Las Vegas, 8 News Now. You might catch her in a Toastmasters meeting, or you might even catch her doing Big Brother, Big Sister, or even laughing with friends over a cocktail. Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism, Howard University School of C, a military brat. Teach for America, taught math in Brooklyn, but now she makes a living telling stories and educating the masses. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Bianca Holman on the show. Bianca, welcome back.
Hey, y'all.
Welcome back. Now, we're having so many technical difficulties.
Yes.
So many technical difficulties. So,
where do you want to start?
You know where I want to start? I want to start with this.
Okay.
I want you to tell me one of the things I heard you say when I was looking you up.
Mm-hmm.
You said, listen to your body.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. We're going to get into the career stuff in a little bit, but we got a survivor on the show. You know what I mean? We got a beast on the show. You know what I'm saying? So listen to your body. What does that mean? When you hear me say those words to you, what does that mean?
Your body's going to tell you when to stop. And oftentimes we ignore it. And even with our own intuition, as far as going into different situations, not even related to our health, but even related to our health even more, we have to listen to ourselves, listen to your intuition, that gut feeling, your body, as it relates to your health, because within ourselves are so many answers.
So I would consider us to be young. You know, I'm older than you, but we're fairly young, you know. Yeah. And when you know how like when we're younger and older folks are like, they feel like they can live forever. You know what I mean? They feel like they're not scared of nothing. You know, I'll say this, like just recently, like a month and a half ago, I went to the doctor for a checkup, and the doctor was like, man, you got high blood pressure. I'm like, what does that even mean? You know, like I've heard that before, but not me. You know, I've never had any type of health thing, you know, ever. I never felt like any symptom of anything. I just went for a regular checkup, just trying to be responsible. So the doctor's like, man, your blood pressure is really high. You could have a stroke. Like literally, you can have a stroke right now or a heart attack. And I'm like, really? They like, yeah. Like she was like, I almost want to send you to the emergency room. So long story short, she put me on like high blood pressure pills. So now I'm going about my merry day of being, you know, Josh Mercer, to like researching high blood pressure and taking pills on a schedule and having to change my diet. You know, like I'm active. I play sports. You know, I don't abuse drugs or anything like that. So I'm like, you know, why me? And that's why I brought that up about listening to your body. So tell me about the moment when, you know, you found out that you had lupus.
Yeah, it was a process. It wasn't just one time. And they came to me and said, Bianca, you have lupus. It was over several months. And for a lot of people, we will feel sick, but not be able to know what it is. And lupus impacts people differently. And for people who don't know, lupus is an autoimmune disease where your body starts attacking itself. We have a couple of celebrities that do have lupus, Toni Braxton, Nick Cannon. So thankful that they've come out and shared their stories, because it sheds more light on us everyday people who have it. But this was a year after I had graduated. So I think it was like the start of 2009, and I couldn't sleep. And I had a crook in my neck. And I've shared this on my YouTube channel, and then it was difficult for me to walk up and down stairs. And I was pretty active. I had like 2 jobs and an internship. And I'm like, I just need to rest right quick, and then I'll be okay. I just need to take some pain medication, then I'll be okay. I didn't have anybody in my family that had lupus or an autoimmune disease, so I didn't know what it could be. I just thought, I just need to get some sleep. I need to drink some OJ and have some vitamins, and I'll be okay. But at an internship, I was in Baltimore, and I couldn't stand up. I couldn't stand up. My feet hurt so bad. And so got to the ER room, the emergency room, and they tell me, they run some tests, and they say, you need to see a specialist. And this is before Obamacare, so I was no longer on my parents' insurance. And for the military, once you graduate college, they kicked you off. So I was like, okay, I'm already gonna have to come out of pocket for being in this emergency room. I had just got accepted to Teach for America, so I said, oh, well, in the fall, in August, that's when I'll see a doctor. And they're like, no, you need to see one quickly. I'm like, okay, got it. I don't have the money to go see a specialist right now. I get home to Virginia. This is before I was going to go to Teach for America, and I show my mom my results. By the grace of God, our neighbor, she's a nurse to an autoimmune, a doctor, a rheumatologist who helps people with autoimmune diseases. So she comes over, she looks at my test results. She tells my mom, get her to a hospital right now. Get her to a hospital right now. So my mom's like, okay, all right, girl. Well, I go see my family doctor that I had when I was in high school. I'm thinking, no big deal. Go in, get some blood work done. By the time I got home, I saw him in the morning time. It wasn't even an hour later. He calls and he says, Bianca, you need to come down. I need to admit you to the hospital. And I'm like, what are these people talking about? And after that, all I could hear was waka, 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 waka. And I'm like, what are they talking about? I can get up out of the bed. I can get, what are they talking about? I have to get ready to go to Teach for America. I'm about to start my life finally. I had been interning for 2 semesters, in DC, trying to make some stuff happen. I'm finally getting somewhere. And they're saying that I basically can't get started on this new life that I have planned. And so I get to the hospital. They run all possible tests as they can. I was in the hospital for almost about a week, and they finally came to the conclusion that it was lupus. My body was attacking itself. My body was attacking my kidneys. So it's lupus nephritis, and thankfully I'm not at that point where I have to get a kidney transplant or I'm on some intense therapy, but there was a moment in time where I was on chemo medicine to help get everything under control. So it's one of those things where I never would have imagined that would have been my story. My parents would have never imagined, but that's why I say you got to listen to your body. So I knew something was wrong back when I was in DC and interning, but you keep pushing yourself. And we say, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. And I'm that type of person, just probably like as many Howard people are. We're those people who push ourselves to the limit. But sometimes you got to say stop, because when you're not 100%, you can't give yourself to anybody else or any project. And it's been a learning experience. It hasn't been easy. There's been some times where I've been upset, angry, why me, why this? But I'm still here. And it's not a death sentence because, of course, when I was diagnosed, that's all you're thinking. You're thinking like, okay, well, how can I have kids, or how long do I have to live, and all this kind of stuff, because of the stories that you hear. And back when I was diagnosed, there wasn't a lot of information. There wasn't a lot of people who were on YouTube at the time sharing their stories. So that's what prompted me to share my story eventually. And I've gotten so many emails, so many messages about people sharing with me what they're going through. And I want to help everybody, but I can't. I can only speak from my experience. And I'm so glad that I've been able to do some more research and try to find some more homeopathic ways to live a more fulfilling life and not always depend on medication and pills and stuff like that. But, it's very interesting on how this life will take us. He will throw you, God will throw you curveballs. You'll make a plan. Remember they say, you make a plan and God laughs. And he ripped up my plan and he said, Bianca, here's what you're going to have to deal with. And so, he'll never give us more than what we can bear. And I'm so thankful to be here, to show people that, yes, you can still work. You can still go after your dreams. And it's not easy. There are lots of, days where I come home exhausted. I'm tired. And I have to say, Bianca, stop. You can't do everything. You can't run and gun like you used to, out Monday through Sunday, going to the parties. Nah, you can't do it like you used to. You need to sit on down, girl. Sit on down, drink this water. But you know what, if it's living a certain lifestyle so that I can be here in 10 years, well then, all right, that's a small sacrifice.
What was it tough to tell people initially?
It was, because people are like, really? I didn't know that. And it's like, well, you wouldn't have known if I didn't tell you. It's not something you can look at somebody and say they have lupus. You can't, I mean, there are people who do have a butterfly rash, but a lot of people who have lupus, you're not going to, or any, you know, they're dealing with any ailment, right? Like, oh, it just, even if I said, well, I'm dealing with depression, you can't look at somebody and say and understand what they're going through. So, you know, I think that as much as it had, you know, happened to me and people would say that, it's like, well, you wouldn't know unless I told you. So we have to all think about, like, you never know what somebody's going through. They can look this way, they can be having, achieving this, that, and the third in their career, or have this family, or have whatever. You never know what somebody is going through behind closed doors. So it allowed me to be more empathetic to people's situations and think twice before saying something or assuming something about somebody. You never know what somebody's going through. So before we rattle off at the mouth, like, this person this and this person that, do you know they may be dealing with X, Y, and Z? So it's always, you know, be thinking of that, you know, when it comes to those situations. Like,
Why put it on social media?
I noticed that a lot of people didn't know too much about it. And that's why I shared my story on YouTube, because when I was first diagnosed, there wasn't a lot of people out there talking about it. And my story is just one of thousands. So I wanted people to see my story and say, okay, well, this is the person that's going through it. Not everybody who has lupus is laid up in the bed, hooked up to a machine, you know? So I wanted to share just my experience with it, because I knew when I was first diagnosed, I didn't see anybody that looked like me sharing their story.
So now you're like a big time, I mean, big time doing the morning news in Las Vegas.
Vegas Howard Bison.
Right. You got the blue asterisk next to your name on Instagram. I mean,
we verify.
So that's official. What is it? So you go from, you do teach for America.
Yeah.
You teach math for 6 years. First of all, let's talk about that. What is it? Because I taught for 7 years.
Yes.
Before I opened up my business. 6 years teaching math. Math is not like teaching, no disrespect to PE or, math and reading. That's some core subjects where you're getting constantly evaluated by the principal. You should I teach to the test, or you're under a lot of scrutiny.
Yeah.
And then teach for America. You're in these urban communities where you're getting kids at a deficit. Already. What was it like teaching math? Walk me through a day in the life.
Yeah. It was hard. My first year, I'm so sorry for my babies. My first year was horrible. Okay, horrible. They served me my behind on a platter. All right. So just to give you some context, my father was in the military, so I'm coming from very disciplined, this is how order, decency, and this is how we do things, right? And my mom was a teacher. She taught in elementary schools in various grades. So, I kind of knew, okay, yeah, teaching, I helped out with my mom over the summers and things like that. But no, walking into a classroom and being in charge of 23 lives and 23 kids looking at you, expecting you to give them information to help them for their future. It was a lot of pressure. I was humbled my first year, but you know what? I think, I'm a person that is, okay, you may have beat me then. Let me go to the training. Let me go to the drawing board. Let me see what I have to do to get better. Let me get a mentor. Let me get a coach. And you're going to come in this classroom over the summertime, and we're going to work to be the best teacher I can be, the best teacher I can be. And again, I was a PR major back at Howard, a theater arts administration minor, so I did not have a background in math. But in high school, I did pretty well with my math courses. So 6th grade math is that introductory math to just life skills. And for me, that's what always kept me coming back because I wasn't a mathematician. You know, I went to American, I got a master's degree from American in teaching mathematics. And so I was able to learn the theories and all that behind the tricks and the reminders and all that.
Wow,
kind
you
of stuff
got a master's in math?
Teaching mathematics, yes, that's from American.
Damn. Okay, I'm scared
Yeah.
of you.
So
Damn.
yeah, so you know what? So I came back and said, this is at the core, what am I doing every year? I'm preparing you so that you can be a successful adult, so that nobody takes advantage of you. You're going to learn about percents, you're going to learn about decimals, you're going to learn about fractions, how to do those operations with those three, and then we'll get into a little bit of algebra at the end of the year. And so once you boil it down and make it simple to understand for yourself, then you can make it easy to relay this information to our kids. And especially, I couldn't imagine myself teaching in any other environment, because we need good teachers. We need great teachers in our communities, in our schools, and understand that it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not going to be easy. They're coming in with a lot of things that they're dealing with in the community, in their home. And we make a difference. Seeing a Black teacher, somebody who could be your aunt, who could be your mom, who could be your uncle, who could be your brother or whatever, that's going to make such a difference. And Black teachers make such a huge impact on Black and brown kids, for sure. For sure. I definitely I wholeheartedly believe that. And I'm so thankful to have taught in Northeast DC and in Brooklyn, New York. And I grew up a lot. The kids made me grow up and put a lot of things into perspective, like, you know, stuff that I learned back at Howard. You know, we service our community. Hey, we're going to be the talented 10th. Okay, well then put all that talk into action, and let's build up our communities. And education is a way that we can do that, for sure. You know, it's a whole lot easier to build strong children, strong babies, and then try to reform an old man. You know, they are our future. So, you know, making that impact on them is so important. So if it's mentoring, if it's teaching, if that's where you can serve, everything that I learned at Howard and through Teach for America, I carry on with me.
This episode is sponsored by homecomingathoward.com, the #1 homecoming event website for alumni and friends. Created by Howard alumni for alumni and friends. Subscribe now at www.homecomingathoward.com and never miss an update. Why don't you think we see more Black men in the classroom?
Yeah, it's a variety of issues. One, okay, well, we got to look at the percentage of Black men who are going to college, right? So that cuts down. Then when you're in college, if you are the first person to go to college, you may be encountering a lot of debt. So you're looking for a career that's going to have a big payout when you finally graduate, because maybe you're supporting people back at home. So it may be a financial issue. And that's not saying, oh, teachers don't make money. No, teachers can do very well. Let's not try to make our teachers get now. Are they being really compensated to where they should be? That's up for debate. Yes, our teachers need to be even more compensated than what they are. Trust me, they need more money. Our teachers need more money. So if we're looking at the expectation of Black men to support communities back at home, teaching sometimes doesn't provide that, you know, financial gains that they're looking for. So I think that's an issue. And then us just celebrating, if you don't see yourself in that position, well, then you may not go after it yourself. So if you're already kind of like only seeing the Black men in your school as coaches, as the disciplinarians, and you never really see anybody that looks like you in those positions, you're not going to be as excited to go into that career field. So I think that those could be the possible reasons why we don't see a lot of Black men as teachers. And that's not to say that they're not there. There definitely are there, but you know what? They're far and few in between, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And they make such a difference. They really do. They make such a difference.
So the commitment to Teach for America is how long?
The commitment was 2 years, and then you could either stay teaching if you wanted to, or, you know, some people went on to different career paths.
So you did it for 6 years. I mean, were you thinking that teaching is going to be my career path, or were you kind of thinking about, okay.
Yeah, I always knew that I was going to transition out at some point. I thought possibly there were some moments during those 6 years where I thought I was going to go into like recruiting or operations. But I think in the back of my mind and in my heart, I always knew I was going to make my way into media in some form or fashion. I looked at business school even. And when I got the job in New York, something about being in New York, you're like throwing your head off to the wind, like, yay, I can do it all. Like, I'm excited. I'm ready to go after my dreams. And that's what prompted me to go ahead and apply to journalism school. And I thought I was going to do the dual program. I thought I was going to do journalism and try to get an MBA. And then I looked at how long it was going to take me, and I said, I'll pass.
Wow. So you just decided to do the
And I
journalism
decided
thing.
just to do journalism. Yeah.
So that's a big, that's like a 180, teaching math in urban
Yes and
schools.
no. So I guess look from the outside looking in, it may look like a 180, but to me, journalism is just another way to educate, is another way to inform. And even while I was teaching, I was always telling my kids and sharing with my kids how what they're learning impacts them. So the school that I taught at in DC, it was Cesar Chavez Public Charter School. So you're looking at public policy and how that impacts you on a day-to-day basis. And so we would do that at each level, grade appropriate level, right, wise. And so you're having to have these big policy discussions with kids at a very basic level. And so it's like, well, how is what I'm learning going to impact me in the future? We're always having those discussions. Like if we're talking about percents, what does this mean? What does it mean in the real world? And I would always try to tell my kids, like, you are learning this so that no one will take advantage of you in the future. I don't want
Hmm.
somebody to take advantage of you because you don't know X, Y, and Z. This is why this is important. This is how are we seeing people being taken advantage of, right? Somebody
Mm.
coming into your neighborhood trying to buy grandma's house and is going to show you this, I'll promise you this, that, and the third. If you don't understand the contract, if you don't understand these numbers, if you don't understand this and the third, there's somebody that's going to get over on you. And
Hmm.
so that's how I was able to just really share with my kids, like, this is why we're learning this. I'm not just teaching you this for the heck of it, to waste my breath. I don't want somebody to come after you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want somebody, so that if you decide to drop out at ninth grade, you can survive off of 6th and 7th grade math. You essentially can. You know how to work with percents. You know how to work with decimals and fractions. But yes, as you get older, when kids are thinking about algebra 2, when am I going to use algebra 2 again? This kids in 6th grade, this is what I'm teaching you. You're going to use this again. you
Yeah.
know so
Hmm.
that's something that we were always having these discussions about current events. We would watch, CNN has this student news program. I'm not sure if they had this around when you were in high school, but there's Channel One News. I don't know if they had that. They had it when I was in high school.
Okay.
But there's these student news channels that I would kind of tune in every once in a while, because sometimes they would have lessons that you could pull from them. And it's being able to take current events and boil it down for your kids and talk, promote discussion about it, relate certain topics to it or content to it. And so I was always looking at doing that in my classroom. And I also wrote for my church magazine. I was still doing kind of like, some PR stuff. So it's just like that aspect never left. So that's why it wasn't a total 180 for me. Journalism was something that just was always there, and that was able to bring together, um, my love for writing, and then also being able to, share current events with a group of people and being able to talk about that and share people's stories.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, was that, were you fearful at all? I mean, or like, was there any doubt? Because to me, I
Yeah.
know you're saying it, I know you mentioned all those connections, but it's
Yeah.
still, you know, a change,
Yeah.
and it's still two totally different industries.
Yeah.
Were you fearful at all about that? And I don't know if you got a scholarship or what to Columbia, but I'm sure it's not a cheap investment. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Moving to New York and
Yeah.
all of those things. Or were you just had your mind made up?
I had my mind made up, and then also I'm so thankful for, um, uh, people who I went to Howard with that are in the industry.
Hmm.
So I was able to talk. So you have AJ on, you know, you talk to
Oh
AJ
yeah,
Ross,
yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
So she has been a mentor and just a great big sis. So I talk with her very, very often about, what I was feeling, what I was thinking, all the ideas that I had. Brittany Johnson, she is in Charlotte. She was a cheerleader in AKA back at Howard. She's a main morning anchor in Charlotte, and she's amazing and awesome. And she was always there to pick up a call for me and answer questions for me. So Howard provides this great network of people that you can reach out to when you are scared, when you don't know what the future holds, and you're like, girl, help me, what do you think about this? Like, it's so open and honest, and that Howard connection is just really unmatched. And I'm so thankful. I probably would not be, I know for a fact, like I would not be where I am without having gone to Howard, period.
Well, you get accepted into Columbia.
Yeah.
So that's an excellent school. I know that had to, some relief there, but
yeah,
leaning on those folks from Howard, I'm sure that helps. So fast forward, you are, you go from Howard, you're doing internships, you get a diagnosis with lupus.
Yeah.
You're teaching in underserved communities, you're teaching math.
Mm-hmm.
And now you do a career shift. So you go to Columbia, you graduate. Is the first stop, is that Virginia?
Yeah, well, before I got to Virginia, I did a documentary in order to graduate Columbia. So I did a documentary about a female sommelier, which is a wine expert. And so I did a documentary, and then I was actually able to intern for NBC, the Today Show. That was amazing. I was able to intern also for BET and Viacom. And then I applied to a whole bunch of jobs. And let me tell you about this right quick. Before I got to Virginia and the job that I was able to obtain, I actually secured another job in Myrtle Beach at the same station AJ was at, I think it was her first stop, or maybe it was her second stop.
Man.
And so I got this job in Myrtle Beach. So excited. I'm looking at places about to move to. Signed my paperwork, got the offer. They call me back. Bianca, we have to withdraw our offer because you have 3 tickets from New York.
Because you have what?
3 tickets. 3 moving violation tickets. 3 tickets.
Damn.
3 tickets. You mean to tell me I can't take this job because I paid these tickets off and I took a little driving course thing, you know what I'm saying, to like get the points subtracted off my, and it wasn't like anything. It wasn't
like
no speeding
driving,
tickets.
right?
It wasn't speeding tickets. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't like, oh, you're driving recklessly. No, it was like, I think I made a right turn on red. And then and then when they stopped me, I don't think I had my seatbelt on. And then there's another time where I was on the phone and they stopped me.
What?
And they had to withdraw the offer. So the first job I actually got in news, I was fired from. Before I even started, they said, no, you can't even come down here, baby girl. I'm sorry.
Damn.
Maybe come back to us in a year. So then I'm scrambling again. I'm trying to find a job. I'm applying to anything and everything.
So when you're applying, how do you apply? Do you send out reels?
Yeah, so yes, you have to have a reel, and your reel is just the highlights of, you doing your stand-up. So you on camera, maybe it's you at the anchor desk, you telling a full, complete story. So it's just the samples of your work. So I had to send out my resume, send out my reel, apply online.
Wow, that's tough right there.
Yes, it was a huge, I broke down crying. But I'll tell you, because again, you start thinking, okay, perfect, I'm going down to Myrtle Beach. I had lived in South Carolina before. So I'm like, okay, boom, I knew a couple people down there. I even had family in Myrtle Beach. I'm setting up stuff. I found an apartment. Everything was set. And here they come telling me, nah.
Man, so these are big setbacks.
It was a huge setback.
You had a setback with lupus.
Yeah.
You have this that you have to contend with, and we know the struggles that teachers face.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you learn from that? Because
you learn that nothing stays the same, and you know that the tide is going to come back. I had applied, and trust me, I was at the end. I was very, very hurt. I broke down crying because I really liked the news director. I felt comfortable because it was someplace where I knew my mentor had been. It seemed like everything was working out. It really did. It really did, Josh. It was like, oh, wow, like perfect. I'm going to go down to Myrtle Beach. I like the news director. It's a woman that I felt we really connected, and she has my best interest. boom, AJ had been there. Boom. Like, it was just, I had another friend who I went to Columbia with. She was going to be at another station. So I was like, I know somebody who's going to be reporting. It seemed like the stars were aligning. But God had other plans. God had other plans. And to anybody that is out there, especially during this time, during the pandemic, and you're thinking like, oh, I don't know. No, trust me, there is something else that's out there for you. And it's okay. It's okay. We have to get rid of this notion, this mindset that there's not enough. And we have to think of this scarcity mindset. No, there is enough. There is enough out there, and everybody can win. You just have to find out what's going to work for you. And you may not be winning right now. It's okay. Your time's going to come. Keep planting those seeds. Keep working hard. So I didn't stop applying. Okay, now you know what? That wasn't for me. Let me continue applying. Now you can, I definitely cried. So I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, fine, you don't want me. All right, boo, whatever. Like, no, I was sad. I was upset. When she told me, I was like, my voice was shaking. My voice was trembling. Tears were coming down my eyes I'm like, is there anything we can do? It was like, wow. No, it's corporate. You have to drive the news vehicle. So you can only have this amount of like stops on your record, and mine wouldn't have fallen off until like 6 months later. Wow. So she said, well, hey, I can't hold the position till 6 months, but we can stay in communication just in case something comes up. So she was going to have to move on and go to somebody else. And you just have to trust God in those moments. And it's okay to be sad and upset. Matter of fact, the girl who I co-produced the documentary with, she was there with me, and she comforted me. And I definitely reached out to mentors, and they said, keep applying, Bianca, keep going. And thankfully the position in Roanoke, I was at WDBJ 7 in Roanoke, Virginia, came through.
Now you're in Virginia, and what year is this we're talking about?
This was,
or like what circle?
2016. I got to Virginia in 2016. Yeah.
Wow. So you're in Virginia 2016, a level of comfort there since you're from Virginia.
No. No. So imagine this is Virginia, right? So this is the peninsula. So this is the coast, right? This is the coast. This is DC. This is Charlottesville. I'm down here in the mountains.
Wow. So
I was near West Virginia, Tennessee. I had never been to Roanoke. I had been to Charlottesville. I had never been past Charlottesville.
Roanoke, that's them cities you learn about in like social studies. Roanoke.
Blacksburg, where Virginia Tech is. You may remember the Virginia Tech shooting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had never been over there. I had only been to Charlottesville. I had never been past Charlottesville. So I had friends from high school that went to Virginia Tech and all that kind of stuff, but I had never been to Roanoke, Virginia. I was like,
so was it culture shock for you?
It wasn't culture shock, but it was just, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anyone. Thankfully, my grandparents, because Charlottesville is somewhat near that area, I was about an hour, 45 minutes away from them. So I was thankful to be closer to my grandparents, to where, yes, on the weekends, if I needed to just get away, hour, 45 minutes there off the road. So that was, and, DC was 4 hours. So, I could get to what I was familiar to.
So, what type of news are you doing at this point when you're in Virginia?
So when I was at WDBJ 7, I was the weekend reporter, and then I would report 3 days a week, sometimes in the morning, sometimes during the daytime. So on the weekend, typically you're the only reporter. You're seeing what's coming through, what events are happening, what current events are happening, or issues that are happening in the community that you can shed light on. So on the weekend, whether I'm going down to Virginia Tech and covering a big game that's happening there, and there's people tailgating or something like that, and doing a story about that, or maybe it's something a little bit more serious, and there's something with the county commissioners, and they're trying to develop a new piece of land, and there are people who live around the area that don't want that land developed. Maybe there is a new company that the area wants to come to town, so they're trying to get new businesses to revitalize Roanoke, Virginia, and bring new jobs. So it really just depends. It really just depends.
How much is a new anchor getting paid in Roanoke, Virginia? Fresh out.
I was a reporter, so I wasn't an anchor.
Oh, it's a difference.
Yes,
What's the difference?
Is a difference. So an anchor is a person that is on the desk that is kind of like leading you through the news, right? They're kind of helping you transition
Oh,
from story to story. They're the person who's reading, you see them on camera, and then you see the video, and then you'll see them again inside the studio. The reporter is someone who's out in the field. They
oh.
are doing the interviews. They are the person who's putting together the story. They're
So you're
talking to
earning
you on
your
the stage.
stripes. Reporter has got it like they doing a lot of grunt work, for lack of better words.
It's a different type of work. So it's neither one is neither better nor the other, better than the other, excuse me. I'm being honest because being an anchor is it's a different responsibility. And so you may go into journalism and being a reporter in news and you don't have the desire to be an anchor.
But when you in Roanoke, you got to carry that camera, right?
Yeah, so I was an
You gotta
MMJ.
you gotta
Yes,
drive that truck,
yes, yes,
right?
yes. So I
you
was so
gotta
now you're
you
seeing
probably
so
gotta
now
edit. You gotta edit your stuff, right?
yep. I had to
That's
edit my own video.
that's a
Yep,
different grind. I'm sorry.
it is.
And you gotta run up and down them hills, high heels, and look good and sweat and all of that outside in the middle of
It is not pretty. It's
nowhere.
not glamorous. It's not glamorous. And it's those who just think it's glamorous, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it, sis. Okay. If you think it's just okay, let me get ready for the camera and where's my script? Nah, boo. Nah,
It's
you're
not
not gonna
happening.
make it.
But the money's flowing in crazy at this point.
That's cute. No, it is not. And no, it is not. No, it is not. I took a huge pay cut. I took a
Man,
huge pay
huge
cut.
pay cut from being a teacher.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Um, I never want to look back and say I shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Wow.
Never want to look back and say, oh, I could have did this. I should have did that. I should have tried that. I had the opportunity to try something that I was interested in. Let me give it a go. And the money's going to come if you're consistent and you can find different streams of income, So I think that now we are of a generation that realizes that your one job doesn't have to be your main source of income. So we got to diversify, so whether it is trying to get into real estate, the stock market, having a business on the side, you're going to have to diversify that anyway. And so I wanted to, at that time in my life, go ahead and try something before the babies, before the family, before, real big responsibilities come, to say, you know what, let me give it a try. And after, a couple of years, if I'm like, you know what, I'm done, I could always go back to teaching. I can always go and work for a company and be a part of their communications department, or I can go into business for myself and do editing and social media management for somebody else and have my own business. So I think that I've learned that you are always changing, you are always morphing. Your journey is going to go in different directions, and you have to be open and flexible to that. It's not, oh, now that I've transitioned careers, I have to stay as a reporter, and this is only like I'm limiting myself. No, get in, get that experience. If you want to change your mind and change directions, you can do that at any time.
Mm-hmm. How much does going to Columbia, how much of a difference does going to a school like that make in terms of getting the opportunity to be a journalist?
Just like going to Howard, if you utilize those connections, those resources, they will benefit you greatly. So while I was at Columbia, thankfully, I took on an internship. That was something that I learned at Howard. You can't just only go to school. You need to kind of take on an internship, get to know
Mm-hmm.
people, go to different panels, put your name out there, ask questions, shadow. Can I do an informational interview? So I think it wasn't just the name of Columbia. It was actually the strategies and techniques that I picked up at Howard that has helped me to be able to get to where I am. I think Columbia provided opportunities and connections and opened my eyes to a lot of different opportunities in journalism. And they're at the forefront of a lot of trends and research on what's happening next. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
thankful for that. I'm glad that I went to Columbia, the connections that I was able to make, because not everybody at Columbia goes into local news or goes into news in general. Some people go into documentaries. Some people go into writing for different publications where there's their local newspaper. So there's so many different people that I went to school with that are in different aspects of media. They're not just in, at a local news station in Los Angeles or something like that, or in Chicago. Like, people are really in so many different aspects, which has been a huge benefit because you meet people from all over the world.
Okay. I just want to know, like, if it's a, if you go to this school, like, do you have to go to, like, a top journalism school to do X, Y, and Z, or is it more about, the person? But
It's a combination of both. I think it's a combination of both, because, well, if Columbia is bringing in these great panelists, if they know about the opportunities, I'm at a little bit more of an advantage than somebody else who's going to a lesser known school. So those companies are not maybe going to go to the lesser known schools. Sometimes they just go to the big schools. So I think that Columbia provides that opportunity, but just because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You
right.
have to be able to, you have to put that rubber to the road and say, have that, ask questions, go to the career counselor's office. It's the same thing at Howard. Howard's a great school, but if you don't take advantage of what's there, well then yeah, you're gonna be sitting there with your lip poked out, mad and angry when you don't have a job after graduation, or have made those connections to be able to ask somebody, can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
So
no, I
yeah.
totally agree. So when you're in Virginia, I mean, you covered that Charlottesville story.
Yeah.
You covered Charlottesville, and now you're in a role where it's not about you, right? It's about the story. It's about the facts, and then letting people make up their mind from that. But I feel like at the same time, media has evolved, even sports media, to where they want the people that are reporting it to kind of have opinions, and when I watch ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, he getting paid a ton of money to talk about the sports. Now, he started as a beat reporter, and I'm sure he was being objective, but now he gives his opinions on things. When you watch CNN and you see Anderson Cooper, you see Don Lemon, they're giving their opinions. You watch Fox News, you see Hannity, and I forgot the other guy's name, but they're giving opinions. So as a Black reporter, how do you witness something like Charlottesville and report on it and not get caught up into giving your opinion on that particular story or stories like that?
As journalists, we have a couple of Facebook groups that you're able to connect with people in. For Black journalists, we have NABJ, and we're able to have friendships and have a text group to where we can vent, right? Like, let me vent, and then now let me come and report what is happening on this day right now in this moment. How are people feeling about this? How are people responding to this? How is this impacting the community, businesses, the just overall impact on the city, this different people in different positions on, how did this all even happen, as far as, just how they even set up approval for different rallies and protection and what the police were doing and riot police, all this kind of stuff. So there's so many different stories that have to be told. So I think that as local news reporters, and hopefully more people are supporting their local news channels, because we're sharing what's happening on the ground. And our role is not to share our opinion. There is the obvious, like right now I'm looking and, lots of people are crying. It's a very emotional vibe right now. Okay, I can share that because I'm stating the obvious. I'm stating like kind of what people are feeling here. I was just, let's say, they come to me, I say, actually, you know what, Josh, I just finished talking to 5 people here at this memorial. They were very somber. They had tears in their eyes. It's a very emotional, heavy moment right now as they're at this memorial.
So what if you say, let's say if you say this, man, I'm at the scene of where these fine people, where one of the people that Trump referred to as fine people just ran over somebody. Is that Because like
You see, well, so you find people that remove that. Someone was just someone's car just ran into a crowd of people. That's just what happened. You don't have to add. How am I assuming? I don't know this person. I haven't talked with this person. I can't assume this person's character. What happened? What were the facts? So that as a local news reporter, that's where we are. You have to realize, like, what happened? What are the facts? What is the situation? What's going on? What are people saying? That's you reporting what happened. And typically, for as I can say with my experience, I'm not here to share my opinion about who this person is. What was this person? So again, when we're looking at when the guy, when the person was was finally in custody, and they're looking at his history and his actions and talking to his mom, what do we know about this person? Well, we know that his coach said this, his mom said this, he drove from this state here, da, 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 da. So there's no, let's keep focused on what happened and not like my opinion about this person. I haven't even talked
so
to this
person. So let's say we say the facts about something. So let's say George Floyd, we could say, like, one news station can say, a cop used it was extensive force and arrested him, like these are, and it led to his death, which is a fact. And another news organization can say career criminal George Floyd was arrested, and a cop used force and led to it. It's like you can tell the same story, and you can use facts on both ends, but you can also use a fact to kind of, I guess, stereotype or create a feeling in somebody that doesn't really allow them to be objective when they're hearing those words come through. And I bring that up because I watch Fox News and I watch CNN all the time. And I really wasn't really into either one of them until Obama ran for president. And that's what really turned me on. And I was just hearing like these differences in how they were like describing the same thing. And then both of them are stating like facts but over time they've been able to inject their opinion more and more. And what responsibility do journalists have? Is it a different responsibility because I'm on cable versus I'm local, or I'm on radio? Or do you all have like this oath of, I got to tell this story? Like what, because I feel like
that is something that you kind of brought it up as far as the language being used, and that is something that is being talked about within NABJ. This is the national organization for Black journalists. So, and there's one for Hispanic journalists and Asian journalists as well. And especially on groups that I'm on, we're talking about that. Like, okay, you have a news director, you have a executive producer. If you've written the word, when it comes to George Floyd, he was murdered. That like, are we saying he was murdered or excessive force was used? So that is something that is really being discussed in the industry and among journalists. And I can't say, oh, is it separate when it comes to cable news and local news? But I know at the local news level, that is something that is definitely being discussed, and how we have to hold people accountable when we are writing those stories. If you are a reporter, if you're a producer, if you are an executive producer. So that's being discussed on making sure that we're holding people accountable with the type of language that we're using. With cable news, because they are shows that are based on your opinion and coming on and people having comments on certain things. I wouldn't say that, I would say that, their standard is not exactly the same as local news, because their agenda and their focus is very different than what we're doing as local news journalists.
So look, can we talk about Howard a little bit?
Let's go back to you.
Can we talk about, so what are some good memories?
Some good memories, some memories that make me smile.
What are some, were you in a relationship? Were you on the campus at all?
No, there was a guy I was dating in high school. We broke up like I think maybe my freshman year. It was like I can't remember the time frame, but
Okay. Okay. So you was
I
a
didn't
player
have
out here. You was breaking hearts. Got you.
what?
What was it like when you got to Howard though? In '04?
Yeah, follow four. I had lots of fun. I had lots of fun. I learned a lot. I made a whole lot of mistakes. Some happy memories. Freshman orientation. No, even before I got to Howard, I actually did pre-orientation. I did pre-O, and it was the spring. It was literally the weekend after prom. So I went the following
Wow.
weekend, met some great people who ended up coming back that fall, and they're friends that I still have today. So I'm so glad I went to pre-orientation, so I knew kind of what to expect a little bit. And
Yeah.
of course, Campus Pal set it out, first orientation with the parties and the yard and Six Flags and the ice cream social and the variety shows.
Hmm. So you were a campus pal. You were a member of Delta Sigma Theta
Alpha
Alpha
chapter.
chapter. You got to say that right. That's like a sorority within the sorority. If we being honest. You also were involved in the PR. What is it?
PRSSA, Public Relations Student Society of America.
Wow, it's a lot of names in that description. So you were involved in these things, and I believe you said that society that contributed to most to your career. If you had to pull something away from
Yeah.
your time at Howard, that was number one.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say that Campus Pals? How did that shape you?
Campus Pals allowed me to be me. And each person is different in Campus Pals. Each person was chosen for what they bring and who they are. And I think that when I joined Campus Pals, we were all different in some way because freshmen are different in some way. You're going to get that person who's into anime or, what I'm saying, like kind of, into Harry Potter or something. So you need a pal that's into that. You may not be into that, but you know what? They're unapologetically them. And we need to celebrate. I remember, pals like Danny Ray and, she was an older pal when I made it and she was into fashion and all that kind of stuff. And she was just her. Like, I don't have to be like you. And I think that for me is what I got, drew away from pals was that you are you, celebrate that difference and rock it. You know what I'm saying? So that was something I took away from pals was that just be yourself. Be yourself.
Be yourself. I like that. Be
Yeah.
yourself. Pals is so much fun. What about being a Delta?
Yeah.
Um, and you come from your mom is an AKA,
Yes.
and your father's an Alpha. What
Mhm.
type of child are you? That you would go
I'm one
to
who
Howard?
my parents said, you know what, it's your life. You got to live it, make your journey because you come in this world alone, you're going to leave alone. Okay. And you have to be happy with the choices that you make. And I'm glad that they always allowed me to make my own choices. Of course, within making sure that, okay, it's not like I'm out here doing something crazy. Hey, you have interest in an organization that gives back to the community, that helps build strong women, that helps, again, in so many different ways, and from economic development, political, like whatever it is, like deltas are involved in it. So this is something good. Okay, Bianca, yeah, we get it. Okay, it may not have been my choice for you, but if that's what your choice is, go ahead. And so they've definitely, my AKA mom has definitely bought a lot of my Nalia. So
Okay.
so yeah,
And
I'm so thankful that I do have my parents who celebrate my individuality and who allow me to be me, Yeah.
so you at what point do you say you want to be a Delta? Was it because you had influences from your family who were Deltas?
Yeah, I had deltas in my family. I have a great aunt who's a delta, a cousin, two cousins actually. My aunt, my mom's sister, who is a delta as well. And of course, during high school, I had a couple of mentors and some very influential women that influenced my life. So I had both around me, and
So it sounds like your
For me,
mom
for
is
me, Delta just stuck out the most. It was just what I identified with. From a programming standpoint, I was a theater arts administration minor, so I was always involved in the arts. And
yeah.
Delta itself has like an arts and letters committee that promotes arts and culture in the community. And so that was something that was attractive to me because of my involvement in the arts. And so it's like, again, like people are like, oh, well, why choose this over that? You just know what's for you. You know what connects with you in your own heart. And that's what Delta was for me.
This episode is sponsored by homecoming@howard.com, the #1 homecoming event website for alumni and friends. Created by Howard alumni for alumni and friends. Subscribe now at www.homecoming@howard.com and never miss an update.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So it sounds like your mom is really the black sheep in the family.
Oh no, you know what? It's kind of funny because actually my dad's sister pledged AKA. So
Okay.
it's kind of funny. So like it's my mom's sister pledged Delta, and then my dad's sister pledged AKA. So again, I have both, and you know what? My mom's an AKA. I have a couple of good friends that are AKAs. Like we all do great and amazing work and are champions of women and leaders. And we see a great leader, Kamala Harris, VP pick. So it's just like we went to Howard. Like, you know what? We all got some amazing powerhouses, and Delta was it for me.
So being Alpha chapter is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Whether you in fraternity or sorority. At what point did it dawn on you the significance of this is where it started?
For me, it was not beforehand because you're just in it. You're just like, okay, I'm trying, you're working, trying to make it. But it didn't really hit me like a ton of bricks until when we were visiting with other sorors and other campuses. So when you share that, okay, where'd you pledge? And you say Alpha chapter, and then you get like, oh, you get that expression. Then it hits you. And that was it for me. Like because being at Howard, that's all I knew. So I didn't have anything to compare it to or the vibe to compare it to until you see the response from someone else. So maybe I took it a little bit for granted beforehand. And then it wasn't until, again, shortly after pledging and kind of interacting with other sorors and other Greeks that when you say where you're from, it's like, oh, okay. That kind of, yeah.
What is it like to come out in a probate show and you just see the sea of like women, Black women who went through the same thing that you went through, a different time period, but all ages, all shapes, all colors, and they're supporting you as you cross those burning sands? What is that like from a ego or esteem perspective?
Well, I will, for those who are not Greek or whatever, for people who are going to be watching this, like who just went to Howard or something like that, it is, for instance, like at graduation, when you see just the sea of people in their gowns and their caps, and you see the family and you see the support system, you're like, wow, this is bigger than me. I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. And you're encouraged, you're amped up, you're hyped, you're excited. And then you look to your left and your right, like, yeah, we made it. Like we went through this process together. We went through Howard together, and we now have this pinnacle moment that we're all celebrating. You got alumni coming back. You got your family who was there to support you. So they're kind of like, while it's not exactly the same, I want to kind of help people understand like maybe that feeling at that graduation to where like those that, jump in your heart, or that, feeling of when you finally look around and it's kind of quiet and you're like, wow, look at this sea of people. So when, coming out and doing our probate show, and yeah, you're right, you're singing those same songs, like literally you can come, you'll have a soror who hasn't been on campus in 15 years, and she's coming, she'll join the circle, she knows the songs, and it's that familiar, you're home. It's like, hey, like I'm home, I'm from, it's this unspoken language that you know of, it's this experience that you know of, it's this bond, it's this sisterhood, it's the impact and all that history that yeah, our founders are right here on this campus, trying to make a difference, and we are continuing that legacy, and we're all a part of this big family who at the
So
core, yeah.
let's say I played Delta my sophomore year at Hampton or some other school. Then I decide to transfer to Howard.
Yeah.
Do I get the same type of love that a person that I would get as somebody that pledged Alpha chapter? Or is it, we love you, but you know what I'm saying? Is it the same?
Oh, Josh, so funny. It's, you know what? It's almost like the love is like the love of Delta. Like you see a soror, you're gonna love them. That's period, right? But
Okay.
is it the same?
But
So this is period. So now, is there will there just be a naturally slight difference because you haven't experienced certain things with that person? Yeah. So let's say that person, let's say, for let's say 2006, right? And we had some soror that came to campus who transferred in. Well, she has a different connection with those people who she pledged with, right? Like in that campus that she came through, that chapter she came through, she's going to naturally, it's a natural thing. You're going to naturally have a certain connection with people who you went through the process with, or people who came through the same chapter with you and who were on that campus at the same time. So that's like, we're kind of like trying to like, no, it can't be possible that you have a different experience. No, like, come on. You're definitely going to have, there's definitely going to be some things that I mentioned or said that you're not going to necessarily get because you weren't here at that moment in time. You know what I'm saying? It's like you missed that time. We love you.
Well,
but there was a whole,
I remember being at Howard, and I was in Phi Sigma Pi actually.
Okay.
And we would often have visitors from other campuses.
Yeah.
And I know it's not Divine Nine, but it's still some similarities.
Okay.
So we would change stuff up when we knew we had different people, but that's probably why we're not around no more either.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? But that's why I asked that question, because I that's one thing that I always wondered as I got older, because coming through Howard, at least for me, I didn't realize how much of a big deal a lot of stuff was until I graduated. Like I just didn't, for whatever reason, until when you graduate, you start seeing people, congratulations to this person for becoming a member of Omega Psi Phi. And I remember like, how could they not, how you become Omega? Like you went to Howard, you didn't play, I didn't understand the concept of
grad chapter.
Chapter. I didn't understand the concept of, I did know that you could pledge at different schools, but I didn't know that there was a whole thing that you could do after you left Howard. And then I would see those people come back to homecoming, like repping Delta hard, but they didn't, pledge at, they did grad chapter. So I always wondered, like, man, is it the same type of thing when you come back to Howard? You went to Howard, like you can't just expect to just be like, hey, what up? Even though you get the love, but you can't expect to just, have that same type of energy as.
Because again, so it's almost like they went through whatever chapter they pledged through, they're going to have that exclusive love or that certain kind of deep love for those people who were their line brothers or sisters, and those people who helped that process for them, you know what I'm saying, who were their big brothers and big sisters through that chapter. So when they come back to homecoming, their deep love is going to be with the people that they experienced it with. And when they come back, with like, I've had friends who pledged grad chapter, and you were right there with them, cheering them on, making sure, you're excited for them and you embrace them. Yes, this is my soror. Like, we're now sorority sisters, but they're going to have a different love. Like, even if we were friends before, they're still going to have a different love for their line sisters that they pledged within grad chapter. So it's not like you get some secondary love. It's just a different type of love. It's not like, so I don't know. Definitely, it's like,
you said
if you pledge
secondary
grad
love,
chapter, you're going to be very close with those you went through the process with, who you start working in the chapter with. That's like that's their experience. And so when they come back, it's just a different type of love. It's like, yes, we're excited for you. We're going to embrace you. You're now part of the big sisterhood. But yeah, you're like, you just came through a different chapter, just like we came through this chapter. You know what I'm saying? So it's not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. What advice do you give to the 18-year-old Bianca that's coming into Howard that,
Yeah.
wants to get the best out of the school and wants to do her thing later on? What advice do you give to this young woman coming to Howard right now?
Right
What advice?
now, what advice? I think be in the moment. I think I was oftentimes like thinking about what's next, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and what's next, and what's next, and what's next. And while I had a lot of fun and a lot of great experiences that I wouldn't change for the world, learned lots of lessons, made mistakes, made some mistakes, I would say cherish this moment because it's gonna go by really, really fast. And continue just to be in the moment a little bit longer instead of thinking always like be ready for the next thing. Yeah.
What legacy, when we talk about Bianca Holman, what years from now, what is your legacy gonna be?
Ooh, that's kind of deep.
It's deep.
It is deep.
It's deeper than rap.
It is. It's so heavy. I don't want to say nothing wrong, y'all. What will my legacy be? I want to be and hope that I am this person and strive to be this person who will think about it. That I thought I had something and then
It's okay. It's okay.
No. Do you ask everybody this? I'm thinking like, what?
Let them use you. Let them use you.
Let me use you.
Yeah, we ask everybody. I ask everybody this. So
Really?
you've obviously not been watching the podcast. So
Maybe I gotten to the end because they're kind of lengthy. You got them. They long.
They are long. They are long. It's a lot to talk about.
It is a lot. I think that I have always been a person to try new things and not be afraid of failure. And so I want other people to know that you may have one plan for your life, but trust that God may have something bigger and better than you could have ever imagined. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, Bianca, would you be in Las Vegas talking with Josh about having a career in journalism? I would have said, you're crazy. But trust that, maybe dreams that you had as a child and that you pushed away are going to come back up and allow God to make that path for you, whatever it looks like. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to move to a different city and try new things and make mistakes. And just trust the process. You're going to end up to where you need to be. That's not saying that you can't have a plan for your life, but you have some kind of loose ideas. And for me, those loose ideas are education, informing people, and inspiring people and entertaining people. Whatever I do is going to be something that entertains people and helps put a smile on people's face in some capacity. It's going to help inspire them through maybe situations that I've been through, whether it's lupus, whether it's losing a job, whether it's moving to a place that I don't even know. Keeping people informed about what's going to impact them. So through journalism, through my teaching, I think every thing that you take on, there'll be some common themes. And it doesn't have to be this aha moment, like, oh, I'm going to be Steve Jobs or I'm going to be Beyonce and have this thing. Like, it's going to continue to morph. But I think at the core, I know what my talents are and how I can be used to help uplift my community. And as a Black person in North America whose ancestors were slaves and brought here on a ship, we are strong people. And don't let that our story just stop there. We're a part of creating history. We're a part of the next generation. We're a part of creating the next stories and the next leaders. And history is being made right now, and you're an important part of that. Whatever you do, big or small, you are important. Your purpose matters, and you're going to impact someone else's life down the line. Yeah.
Wow. Man, I got the Holy Ghost.
You're so dramatic.
So
dramatic. And also, you know what? I think, being part of changing the narrative about Black people here in America, maybe that's a part of my purpose as well. When I think about things that I have done and it all consists in the realms of informing people, inspiring people, entertaining people and educating people, it's all in those realms. But I am a Black woman, and I'm happy about that. I'm excited about that. I wouldn't change it for the world. And God has a purpose and for everything. So you have to be like, accept that and embrace that. And we got to change the narrative. We have to, I think that I'm definitely part of, hopefully, I hope, changing the narrative for us so that our future is even better.
Wow. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you and follow you, and be motivated every time they
motivated,
they come in contact with this specimen of Black excellence that is Bianca Holman, how do they get in touch with you? How do they follow you? What projects are you working on right now?
I do have my Instagram, the official Bianca Media. I also have a YouTube channel where I blog and I talk about, whatever's happening in my life at the time. So that's on YouTube if you want to tune into that. If you want to learn more about lupus, if you have someone who you know with lupus, my stories are there. I also talk about what's happening here in Las Vegas and exploring Las Vegas. So that's kind of some of the blogs that I've been sharing. It's my life, nothing too deep. And I think in the future, I hope to work on documentaries, some short projects. So that's what I want to do kind of in the future, eventually. So working on a couple of documentary ideas that I have coming up. And
wow, I love it. I love it, man. You just won't stop. You just won't stop. Wow. So, okay. So do you have a little bit of time for we do a little Jeopardy?
Yeah.
We've been on this thing for like 4 hours. But yeah, we do a little Jeopardy.
Well, we had start and stop. That's why we
start and stop. Technical difficulties, man. But the show must go on. So let's see what you know about Howard.
Oh my God.
Okay, you ready? Or we could do Delta. You want to do Delta history?
No, we can do Howard. That's fine.
No, I don't know no Delta history. I don't even know what I would ask you. But you get thrown under the bus for not knowing. You'd be cancel culture real quick for not knowing the slightest thing. Oh, yeah. But what year was Howard founded?
What do you have to say? What is? Or 1867.
Yeah, just okay. Good job. Good stuff. That's what I'm talking about. What are the school colors for Howard?
The school colors, blue, white, and red.
No, they are. I'm just playing.
Okay. I'm like, what the
hell? What is the Howard motto?
The Howard motto. No job is too big.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm sorry. I don't. You should have told me to brush up on this stuff.
That's the PAL motto.
I know. I'm naming a motto, though. I'm naming a motto.
What is the body of
What is the
water?
Can you tell me what is the Howard motto? So it has at the top of my memory.
Truth and service.
Truth and service. I knew that.
You did know that.
I did.
What is the body of water that is closest to Howard?
The reservoir.
Very good. Very good. How many of the Divine Nine organizations were founded at Howard?
I think all but 2. I'm wrong.
Next
What
question.
is it? What was
I
it?
think it's 5.
Oh, dang. Okay.
I don't think the Iotas or the Alphas.
Oh, I forgot. See, I just literally thought of alphas and I thought of kappas immediately.
There you go.
And so sorry, iotas. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Finish this sentence. Reared against the eastern sky.
What is proudly there on hilltop high?
Very, very good. Very good.
Redeemed myself.
Who is the president of Howard?
Right now, it is the guy who went to Howard. His name is. He did go to Howard. He went to Howard with Diddy, and his name is Frederick. And I don't know his last name. What's his last name?
His last name is Frederick.
Oh, his last name is Frederick. Okay, so what's his first name?
Wayne.
Wayne Frederick. Great.
Good job. Good stuff. Now you say you worked in Crampton.
Yeah, when I was at Howard, it was swaggered. Yeah.
Me too.
Thank you.
What when you worked at Crampton, you spent some time in Crampton as a pal and as a fine arts minor. Can you spell Crampton?
CRAMTON. No P. There's no P.
Oh, good job. Very good. Very good.
There's no P in Crampton.
Who was Howard named after?
What? You going deep into the.
It is a school. That it can't be that deep. I mean, come on.
The pressure is on. I wish I could remember his name. I apologize. I cannot remember his full name.
General Oliver Otis Howard.
Oliver,
yeah. How many schools and colleges at Howard?
Okay, hold on, let me think.
You either know it or you don't.
Can we talk through it though?
We can talk through it.
Okay, arts and
more
sciences.
Than one.
Huh? Arts and sciences. We'll start at the top of the hill. Okay.
Let's do it.
We'll go School of Business, Arts and Sciences, Engineering, Architecture, School of C, Health, Allied Sciences, right? I thought you were going to be encouraging me.
You got the law school.
I'm not done yet. Okay, we got the law school, medical school, pharmacy, dentistry.
The graduate school?
Just graduate, yes. Okay, the graduate school, that's 10. And who are we forgetting?
I don't know. But they're 13. That's the answer.
Okay, we're at 10. All right, so let me think. What else?
13. It's 13 schools.
Did we say pharmacy?
Yeah, we said pharmacy like 4 times.
No, we did not say it.
It was like pharmacy, business, pharmacy.
No.
What zip code is Howard in?
Wait, what are the other 3?
Oh, I don't know. I know it's 13 though. I didn't say name them. I just said how many schools and colleges. I mean, you got School of C. I
thought you had like a little list, a little paper right there.
Oh, no.
Okay, what else?
No.
What else?
What zip code is Howard in?
Oh my God. The zip code. I know it's a 29.
Okay. Where did you live in the quad or the annex?
I lived in the quad. I know it's a
Okay.
29 zip code.
It's 20059 actually.
20059. Yes.
Name all the halls in the quad.
Okay, I think I can do this. Wheatley, which is where I live. Woo woo. Wheatley, Truth, Crandall, Baldwin. There's one more.
You sure it's called the quad? Quad means
Yeah,
four.
so I got it.
Actually, you didn't. You didn't get Fraser, but it's cool.
Sure, I see. It's like there's 5.
I know. It was a mind thing. So yeah.
Okay,
here goes some
Fraser.
rapid
I'm sorry.
fire.
Anybody who stayed in Fraser, I'm sorry.
There goes some rapid fire real quick. These are one word answers.
Okay.
Is it who you know or what you know?
Who you know?
U Street or Adams Morgan?
U Street.
Is homecoming better as a student or as an alum? Is your husband gonna be a Q or a alpha?
Hey, like you.
Shade to your father and your mother.
Oh.
That's horrible. You gotta start one, bench one, and cut one. So you got freshman orientation, homecoming, or graduation.
Start, because freshman orientation, we like that kind of sets you have zero expectations. Homecoming as an alum or as a current student?
Just homecoming, period.
I
guess you could say your best homecoming experience.
I think I would start freshman. What's the other 2 choices?
Graduation and your best homecoming experience.
And then what do you like?
You start one, you bench one, and you cut one.
I would bench homecoming as an alum. Then I would cut graduation. It rained on our graduation, and graduation is always a blur as a student because you just went out the night before and you're coming back and you can't really at least I couldn't really fully enjoy it because you just hung over from love the night before and all the parties the week of, and it's a lot going on, a lot of pressure. Everybody's asking you what's next. So we'll cut the graduation and then we'll just kind of flash forward, bench homecoming as an alum, because then you have a job, you're partying, you know what I'm saying?
Totally agree with that. Okay. Totally.
That's my reason.
Howard men don't cheat.
Oh, okay.
When did you find your voice?
Probably when I became a teacher. Probably my 3rd year of teaching.
When did you realize that you were the shit?
That's so funny. Probably, you know what? When I left the hospital bed after being in the hospital for five days, I'm still here. Okay, so nothing can break me. All right, what else you got? Life, we still here. Bring it on.
Thank you for joining the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks that have contributed to the Howard legacy at the highest levels. To hear more interviews or purchase merchandise, please visit www.humovemakers.com.